According to a recent report from the Nielsen company, global consumers spent more than 5.5 hours on social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter in December 2009. That's an increase of more than 80% from the previous year. And Australia is top of the charts with users spending nearly 7 hours on the sites each month. Ross Dawson from Advanced Human Technology joins us in the studio for more. Welcome, Ross. Were you surprised to see Australia at the top of the list?
I was, because in fact it's only a few short years ago that Australia was actually behind in uptake of social media, such as social networking sites such as Facebook and blogs and Twitter and so on. So it's actually been a very rapid acceleration of Australia to come in the front of countries in usage of social networks.
So why do you think we've seen the switch for Australians to be now top of that list with America number 2?
It's a really interesting question. I think there's more research to be done around this. I think there's a number of factors. One is that there's more and more use of mobile social networks and social media. And this is only in Australia. We had very high, in fact, mobile data plans until July 2008 when the iPhone was launched. And then Australia's telcos came to the party and we started to have mobile data, which was, enabled people to use these things on the move. That accelerated uptake. And I think there's also this switch where Australians were, for example, on Facebook, were relatively slow initially, but once they started to move that started to take off quite dramatically, not least because there are 5% of Australians who are overseas at any point in time, and keeping in touch with friends is really part of the nature. And as social media has become more conversational, Australians have really taken to that more readily.
Okay, so if we've gone to number 1 on that list, what is the business implications for people using it at work, but also looking forward to business applications for these sites? Are we using it to the best capability?
Well, I think there's many domains in which this is highly relevant business. One is clearly in terms of marketing, and traditionally marketing has used traditional media to reach their potential customers. Now, since more and more people are spending time in social media and engaging with that in a far deeper way, usually than they are with many media sites, that means this has to be part of the marketing mix, and that it is on the table. So all of very distinctly from last year, we're seeing Australia's major organisations say, yes, we must have engagement in social media in whatever way, and engaging on that level. Another one is, as you suggest, that employees, since they're using us in their daily lives, they're connecting with friends and connecting with business partners as well. This really becomes something which is really important for companies to let their employees to engage in ways which are useful for business. And these are just a couple of the things which are really important, I think, for companies to recognize now that social media has such a broad uptake.
So do you think there can be successful strategies in allowing your employees to access these sites during the day? Somewhere I've worked before, we actually had, not here, but we had a lockout where you could only touch social networking sites between the hours of 12 and 2. Do you think that is an archaic way to look at it?
It's not the way I would suggest. I mean, I think there are some staff members for which social media, such as Facebook, is not relevant to their work, in which case it is fair enough to ban it. But I think for more and more professionals, these sites are actually really relevant, and it doesn't make sense to be able to block that out. So if people are wanting to reach out, firstly to people that they maybe support them in their work, but also I think there's an element of trust and staff engagement. If you're saying to your staff members, we're going to monitor or block you from using Facebook or social media, I mean, it's almost akin to saying, well, we'll time you when you're going to the bathroom. It's a kind of similar mentality, and people are not responding very well to that, as many employees are finding.
So what about the launch of the iPad and these sorts of devices? Do you think we're going to see the uptake go even higher?
Absolutely. I think that the things such as the iPad recently launched, which is not yet available, but is part of a whole wide range of devices where we can engage with social media far more richly than we have. We've had the iPhone and other, I suppose, smartphone devices, but the very small screens make it a lot harder to engage. So as people have very portable devices, which means that they can share what they are seeing or thinking and engage and connect with people on the fly using these portable devices, that's, I think, a real part of that. And we've seen the rise of mobile social networking, which has been on the cards and sort of talked about, and people have been playing with for years. And only just in the last 6 months or so, with the launch of sites such as Foursquare, US mobile social networking site, which has become very popular in Australia since it was available here 2 or 3 months ago, starting to see that people are using social media more and more where they are moving, where they are to engage with their friends and people they want to communicate with.
Okay, and are we seeing sort of smaller businesses collaborate through it as well, or is it mainly the enterprise?
Well, in fact, it is more a phenomenon at the moment of smaller businesses, where many small, medium-sized businesses are saying these are very useful tools. They're very easy to be able to work with people who aren't there, to be able to coordinate information, to be able to work effectively. And the larger organizations have been, I suppose, struggling with the governance around these issues, around saying what are the parameters, how do we use this effectively, and they are starting to get their heads around that, but because of, I suppose, the structure and bureaucracy of larger business, it's made harder for them to use the flexibility of social media and to tap the potential. But both small business and large business are really taking up and using this very well, or beginning to.
Okay, Ross Dawson, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.